You know, folks, we are allowing Donald John to single-handedly, completely destroy the entire fabric of our country. Now, I know it might sound a little bit outrageous and over the top, but if you don't see where we're headed right now, then that is where America's going to end up. The fabric. We'll have a country. We'll still have a flag. But it's like pouring bleach on a cloth. It starts to deteriorate. And that fabric is born out of the concept that we here in this great country of ours are a hodgepodge of people drawn together by one single little thread, and that was freedom. That whole concept of being able to go somewhere, find a place, find a piece of land where you can thereby be free to worship the way you'd like, live the way you'd like, govern your family the way you'd like. I mean, that was the whole basis for the Western Passage here. Those very first ones who chose to come here, not were forced to come here. But those who chose to come here was looking for that freedom. Get out of the Church of England and the persecution of the urban life and squalor. Breathe the free air, the fresh air, and bountiful, no plague like you had in Europe. That's the fabric. Right? That was the basis. And by the way, on the Mayflower was not just Caucasians. I want to make that very clear to you now. There's some of you who think that. Then you should think again. Because it wasn't. It wasn't just the white man. In quotes. You don't believe me, challenge me on it. Just go ahead and check for yourself, and then you'll understand. It wasn't just the white people in Great Britain or in France or in Spain or in Italy. If you care to check me on it, please do. Please check me on it. So that maybe you'll educate yourself and not come off sounding so much like an ignorant white supremacist phony. So the fabric of this whole country is about coming here and leaving or escaping repression. That's where we are. So now we've got people who are seeking to asylum. The right way. What is the right way, Rep. Daniels? Well, you go and you talk to a border guard, or you go and find a border patrolman and say, hey, look, I need asylum in your country, and what is the process? I'd like to go through that process and see if I could come in. Now, first, obviously, you have to cross the border. One can argue, well, you cross the border, that means, you know what? You just broke the law. Gotcha. Should I say the elementary way of looking at that would be accurate. But to actually apply by foot, you'd have to cross the border. One could argue. Whenever you go into, whenever you go crossing the border into this country, let's just say down in let's see, Padre, California, San Diego. You know, you've got these. You go through one gate. On this side, you've got the Americans. On that side, you've got Mexico, and so kind of a little no man's land in between there. I don't doubt. I don't know the process. I'll be first to tell you. I don't doubt it. You can actually write a letter and apply for asylum. Send a letter. No. Email. I don't know. Particularly people who are indigent, who are fleeing repression or depression. Those individuals have a tendency to put their walk the walk instead of talking the talk, and in many cases they don't speak the language and are not privy to the forms or the computer. And I know to some of you is that, well, look, oh, Rip, there you go, bleeding heart again. Yeah, my heart bleeds. What does yours do? My heart bleeds, yes. Yeah. I'm a bleeding heart, right. And so your heart is what, ice? You got cold water in yours? And yeah, I do have goody two shoes. I got a right foot and left foot, and they're good. Nothing like having shoes too tight. Man. There's something, there's a certain Christian thing about being free and offering that to others, ladies and gentlemen, and that's where we are. That's where we are. So now you've got this situation whereby families are being separated for no other reason except for Donald John and the fact that he realizes that Mexico ain't paying for that effing wall, as Vicente Fox said. I'm not paying for the effing wall. And some of you so gullible, why don't you hold him to it? The president said that Mexico going to pay for it, let Mexico pay for it. Do you know that most of the folks who are coming across right now are not even from Mexico? I'm just saying. Most are south of Mexico. I'm just saying. Because there are those individuals who would see things and go, okay, just all you got to do is have to speak something else besides American, then you, or anything related to Spanish, and then you may go. What I see here now is what I see here now is tantamount to me to what we saw with the Haitians. People who were also fleeing repression. When you had baby Dr. Valier and all of that bunch. Those of us who were around then know this very, very well. Oh, it was you can't just say it's economics. You can't just flee poverty. Poverty is not a reason. That is not a repression thing. It's just because it's poverty. You can't just come here to get rich. Well, is that not exactly what the founding fathers and stepfathers did? Came here for their lives and their fortunes? Go ahead and read about them. What did they fight for exactly? I'm just saying. So why did Thomas Jefferson settle at Monticello? No, look, I already know. I want you to know. I want you to find out that first generation and why they came here. What were they seeking to do? John Adams, the same thing. So why did they come here and settle? And, of course, needless to say, it wasn't, we didn't have the bureaucracy we have now, and there was a formulation of a country thereafter, after 1776, and I know the story quite well. Let me tell you what's driving this right now. What you're seeing right now on the border and what you're seeing with this whole Mexican thing. The Oxy-conservatives have been convinced that anyone who comes to this country, especially from south of the border, or electing presidents or congressmen, they're coming here and they're voting. You see, this is how Oxy-conservatives have been duped. You listen to this, well, they come here and those liberals, those Democrats, that's what they want. They'll come in and they're illegal aliens are voting. And ladies and gentlemen, it's just a lie. And some of you buy into that lie because you want to maintain that narrative, that bigoted narrative. Yeah, that's what they do. You have no other reasonable other explanation. You do understand that Mar-a-Lago right now, as we speak, ladies and gentlemen, there are Latinos. Why? Because the president said he couldn't get anybody else to work off season. That's what he said. So what he does is, look, I didn't say illegal. He goes in and he imports labor, and you have those now, whereby individuals who are not citizens of this country, you can go in. I forgot, we did a show on this, Ro, and actually, they pay $10 an hour, and the employer has to provide living space and so forth. And the casino industry has done quite a bit of this, but as we speak, Donald John is doing it because he says he can't find good employment there.
Via H-2A visas.
There we go, H-2A. You're so smart. So now hang on. So I want to get back to my point. My main point is this, ladies and gentlemen. Time and time again, this president has said to you what it is, and he puts blame on everyone else besides himself, but the reality is that it's his ball game. And what this is about is this idea that, okay, look, this undeclared bigoted war against everyone else besides those who look like me, the font, the complexion, all of that, are coming to vote against me. The Negroes are coming. The Latinos are coming. The Eskimos are coming. Filipinos are coming. Any more O's? Mexicanos are coming.
Mestizos are coming.
Any of the O's. The Cheerios are coming. Any of the O's. The Dominoes are coming. Now, not to be confused with the ons. Like, let's see, the Russians.
Russians.
You got the Russians?
Unless it's Mexican.
Of course, you got some Yiddish, too. Yiddish. The Swedish?
Ish.
Ish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you see that? Yeah, the Swedish.
Yeah.
Why can't we come?
Turkish.
Do you have that? The president of those countries that the president that are not assholes. You know those. These are the favorites of Donald John, who he'd like to have come here. And of course, they wouldn't be in cages if they sought asylum. They wouldn't. They would. When I was in Africa, it was a great insult. I was flying from Dakar, Senegal, to Zimbabwe, and by the time we land we landed in Nairobi first. Is when I first got the message. Do you have it? No. And then from Nairobi, I went to Tanzania. That's where it was. Went to Tanzania, Arusha. And by the time I got there, it was like, whoa, it's an asshole. You're flying into these incredible countries at these incredible airports, and asshole. But he further went to explain what the kind of people that America should get. It can't come from Guatemala. It gotta be some ish and ons. Certainly can't be any O's. And I know I'm making simple logic of this, but you guys get my point. When a man tells you where he stands, you need to believe where he stands. When a man has demonstrated to you exactly the sum total of his character, then you gotta expect that. You really, really do. And I don't see it disparagingly. I see it because, okay, it's better for me to deal with someone. I know what to expect. I know what we have here. So now my task is to see to it that this individual does not do something to impair me and mine. I realize that this person is against me, so therefore my next order of business is to defend myself. And I don't get angry. It becomes methodical for me. I use as much ruthlessness as I know he would use. There's nothing fair in this at all. Because if it was fair, then the mere evaluation of that person toward me, based upon something superficial like complexion or culture, wouldn't be there. That has nothing to do with fairness. It has more to do with his insecurity and his fear of me. I got that. Scared people hurt you. They don't need a justification, except for the fact that they're scared. They're insecure. And that's what's happening here at the south of the border, ladies and gentlemen. See, there's a very good way to stop this trudge toward America. Could have stopped it a long time ago. Actually, could have stopped it before you even had Ellis Island. It's easy. Don't hire them. And if you do, those who do hire them, they have to be given, start at 10, 20 years. You know what the people up in Laurel, Mississippi were sentenced when they were busted for like 300 illegal aliens there. What is it, outside the pickle plant somewhere up there, Laurel? Maybe you don't know this. They were busted, and so therefore many of them were taken home. They were in the chicken plants and stuff like that. Well, the owner of that company, our supervisor, was given a year in jail, and that was suspended.
So he didn't go to jail.
See, the people who are coming here, and then they're staying here because they're able to maintain. So what's got to happen is that those the laws have to be changed such that it is so. Look, let me just tell you, how about this? If in fact you hire someone who's here illegally, then you're going to lose your citizenship. How about that, bro? Oh, heaven forbid, we'll kill business real. No, we'll have no farms. No farming, no corporate farming.
You mean the folks who immigrate from Norway don't go work at the farms?
Yeah. What I'm saying to you is that if Donald John would even consider, and of course the Congress won't even consider, stringent penalties for hiring some guy some poor sap that says, I'll cut your yard for $10. Oh, well, he wouldn't be able to say that. He'll just have to make some motions. I mean, he doesn't speak the language, $10? $10? Oh, $10. Oh, okay, come on. You're not going to ask him for his passport or anything like that. But of course, if by chance Border Patrol rolled up and instead of going to him, well, go to him, but they came to you. Well,
The guy who hired him.
you hired Raul, didn't you?
I hired Raul, but I didn't know that Raul was illegal.
Well, you should have known.
Raul said $10, and it sounded like a great deal.
Well, it's a good deal. You made a good deal, and so now that you
I made a good deal.
you made a good deal, but
Thank you.
Raul he's an alien in this country, and therefore you're contributing.
He doesn't look like an alien.
Well, I want you to know. Well, I'm sorry about that. Why? Because he doesn't have Owen.
I have people working inside that look the same way as Raul. He doesn't look like an alien too. He's not gray. He's not green. He's kind of brown. He is, but he's not.
Yeah, but his hair's curly, right?
It does curl.
Yeah.
It does curl. I thought it was legit. I didn't.
And he doesn't like jalapenos. So, folks. See, I'm trying to keep a straight face here.
Trying.
But that's how it goes down. So all this guy has to do is I'm going to find you. Oh, listen, pick a number, any number. $20,000. $20,000 if in fact you hire someone who is not from this country. It's your fault. You should have found out. You should check his license. Went in and did the vetting. You pulled him up on the internet. They have it now on the internet. If we did that, if we had laws like that, then trust me on this, the border would not be our problem. I'm just telling you, folks. But we don't do it. You know why? Because the big business guys protect him. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. No, he's protected. There are people who are hiring folks, and that's just what it boils down to. But
those guys should go to jail.
Absolutely, but they won't. They don't. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, what this is about is the myth that somehow or another people who come here illegally can't wait to go vote. That's just the dumbest thing. And you folks who believe that crap, you gotta look at you like, so yeah, a guy comes here illegally, he can't wait to go vote.
He's trying to do everything possible to get identified.
Boy, yeah, right. Yeah, he can't wait to walk in there and go vote and for a Democrat. Woo! Sometimes these folks, in your zeal to be a bigot, you gotta really think this through, because you don't want to be a completely stupid bigot. You gotta have some kind
How
of.
does that even work? Don't you kind of have to be completely stupid
No,
to be a bigot?
no.
You don't?
You gotta be ignorant.
Okay.
You gotta be ignorant. Stupid is selling. It's knowing that your ignorance is ignorant, but acting like it's not.
That's stupid.
That is stupid.
Again.
You know what I mean?
Don't
That's
you
stupid.
have to be?
All right, now you're not gonna get me
All right,
started.
now I'm confused.
Yeah, do we the man or the hoods on or off? All right, so yeah, we're going to talk about it, folks. And actually, we got a real live congressman who's going to join us at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock, folks. Going to talk to the Honorable Congressman Benny Thompson is going to be on the phone with us. He's been down to Brownsville and has seen it, heard it, done it, and we're going to chat with him, as we should, folks. But the whole idea of separating families, ladies and gentlemen, is a policy that is now being done by Donald John. And for those of you who want to call in and express that, okay, it's no big deal, first, understand this, right? It's more costly for the United States. Secondly, there are some assertions that somehow or another, if you build a wall, then you won't get the same thing. And I'm going to challenge you on it. I'm in the building business. And let me just try to send it out. Maybe you guys will get this. If you're going to build a privacy fence at your house, for instance, if you're going to build that, then ultimately, you're going to be the outside of the fence, the extreme outside of the fence has to be on your property line. Right?
The extreme outside.
The outside of your fence, right? You're going to set, you're going to set your 4x4s and you're going to pour in the Quikrete into the hose and you're going to set your poles, right? And theoretically, you're not supposed to get on someone else's property. There is a fine line there. You draw your line, you pull your string, your property line, and you can't go over that. You're not supposed to. Because it's encroachment. Theoretically, that's how you build the wall, the line, the fence between you and your property owner. Most of us don't do that. You know why we don't do that? Because if we did that, then you can't service the other side of your fence.
Oh,
How would you nail it?
what do you mean? Oh, so like paint it and stuff.
Well, paint it, nail it.
So you can't go over there because you'd be trespassing.
You got to get his permission.
Hey, Steve, can I come over and paint my
No,
fence?
I don't want you in my yard.
Steve, I gotta paint my fence.
Well, I'm sorry. Look, man, hey, you should have thought about that before you put that there.
Steve, it
You
looks
put
like
the wall.
crap, man.
Well, look, that's on my side, so why are you worried about it?
It's my fence. I built it.
Well, your side. As long as you can do it on your side.
But, okay, so you want to look like crap on your side?
It doesn't matter to me. I might go in and paint it. I might put something in front of it.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait, you're going to paint my fence?
Well, I mean, what are you going to do about it?
I'll ask your permission to come and paint my fence so you don't paint my fence.
I'm going to paint it on my side. It's on the line.
Please don't paint my fence.
Look, you should have thought about that.
I did think about
Well,
it.
then you should have built it at least a foot onto your property. Then you can come in and service your fence.
I'm asking you if I can come service my fence.
Well, guess what? I must tell you. If in fact you were a nice guy, then fine. But no, you know.
Steve, my wife will bake you some cookies.
Sorry about that. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, the wall is off of the line. It is not in the middle of the Rio Grande. So once someone comes over, they're sitting out in front of the wall. Well, they're not on Mexican territory. They're now on American territory. And so therefore, they can sit out there, set up tents, and wait while digging a tunnel under that wall. Or building a ladder. You know what I mean? It's just so profoundly stupid. What is that? Genghis Khan? That they built the Great Wall of China. It's a beautiful wall. I plan on seeing it before I leave here. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah, a little hole in it.
He went right through the wall. He went right through the wall. It didn't stop him.
Nothing stopped the car.
Because, I mean, you know, it's like go under, go all around. Besides that, you got to maintain the thing. And so in the case with that fence, typically what happens is that you build your fence a little bit further off the line so that you can service it a foot and a half so you can get around the other side and be able to service it and still be on your property. Got to be very careful with that because old Steve there on the other side of that wall can still encroach and say, well, look, I'm cutting the grass up to your fence, and so therefore I've been cutting this grass, and so that 1.5, 2 feet is mine now. Typically what we will do is put a little fence there in front. Just a little makeshift fence, like a 3-footer. Chain link or something like that, just right on the property line. Then you're able to build your privacy fence and still have a walkway behind it. Just a little contracting thing there. That's typically a good way of doing it. So anyway, the president wants to have a space force.
It's going to be a great space force.
You realize that's under Air Force, but he wants to have a space force. So now let's see, well, how much more money are we talking about? There's some pushback from the Pentagon on that, and that's just, where'd you come up with that idea? Well, right out of wherever else he came with ideas, you know, right there, right down there. So we're going to put all of that on the table, and of course it's Juneteenth. We'll give some explanations for that. There were some other things here too. I wanted to get to. What is this? Oh yeah. The president's now talking once again about now coming back. We are in a trade war, by the way. And by the way, yesterday I was talking about my shipment from China. I got it.
You get it?
Got it, brother.
Awesome.
I just didn't beat. I beat the taxes.
The tariffs.
Yeah, the taxes, brother.
Well,
Same thing.
same thing.
You got to understand when you put a tariff 10%, whatever, 25% of what the president had, then of course that's his way of raising money for the country.
You were legit concerned about this.
Well, I was. Those 3 boxes downstairs, I looked at them in great delight because they would have cost me an extra $600.
I understand your concern.
25%, folks. And now he's talking about 10% on other goods from China. By the way, I have no love for China. I stopped buying China a long time ago. Right here on this show, 5, 10 years ago, I said, I'm buying American whenever and however I can. If it's made in America, I'm buying it no matter what. It might cost a little more. It's worth that to me. If it's made in America. If it's made in America. That's if I'm buying it. Right?
Personally.
So now the president is saying he's going to add another $200 billion in tariffs, taxes to you. Now what that means is that he'll put a tax, on whatever goods, right? And then you will go to the store and you'll say, man, that just went up. It was made in China. If you want that, then you're going to pay it. So the reality here is that you're paying extra. You're actually paying extra for the goods. The so-called tariffs, taxes that was placed on China is now added to their prices. You got me? And so now you buy it, which means they're getting reimbursed for the taxes they pay. That's a tariff. Now the idea here is to slow down your desire to buy it. You got it. Would ordinarily work, ladies and gentlemen, if we had textile clothing manufacturers here, for instance. If your clothes are not made in China, where would you get them? Do you know Mississippi used to lead the nation in textile industries? It did because of the cotton. And in furniture. Try finding those textile industries and the furniture companies now. There's no doubt that China and other countries had an adverse effect on that economy and that industry. There's no doubt. Or should I say, China or other countries, including Americans who chose to go over there and get more slave labor. See, that's how that worked. You see, Americans would go over and set up their manufacturing where there's cheap labor. Like, let's just say soon the next slave entry is going to be North Korea. By the way, that's the reason why some other countries, should I say companies, moved to Mexico. And that's also why the Little Red Wagon is made in Big Red China. The Little Red American Flyer? Oh, you didn't know that? You didn't know that, did you? Well, now you do. What an American thing. By the way, many of the flags, Mississippi State flag and American flags, many. I mean, that's a big business right now in both China and in Japan. American flags, oh yeah. Well, that's really patriotic. All right, I'm going to go to, I want to go to the sound bites here, only because I should. To the border. I want to go to, where is it? Oh, Jeff Clampett Sessions, or Jeff Sessions Clampett, I'm sorry. Guy, I mean, he sounds and looks just like Granny.
He really does, it's weird.
He really, really does. And look, I'm not saying it to be funny. I'm saying it because...
No. He really does.
Yeah. I don't doubt that Granny could be in his family.
It looks like it's his mom.
Actually, look, he looks like Granny. He could actually say, Granny could be our Attorney General. Yeah, I really... So here he is. Now, I want you to listen to this guy. Here's a guy who represents the country in the free world, citing a Jewish history book. And listen at what chapter he's citing. He's citing.
I would cite you to the Apostle Paul and his clear and wise command in Romans 13 to obey the laws of the government, because God has ordained the government for his purposes. Orderly and lawful processes are good in themselves. Consistent, fair application of law is in itself a good and moral thing, and that protects the weak. It protects the lawful.
Romans
13.
I want you to check with your pastor and ask him why Romans, the chapter Romans is called Romans. No, really. He said that Paul wrote Romans. Look, I'm no theologian. I'm not. And Reverend Adolph will certainly take me to task. And Reverend, I look forward to hearing from you. But yeah, I do have, look, I have, what I studied was more than the Bible. I studied the history of it and the development of it. Who wrote it? It wasn't God. It wasn't Jesus either, by the way. I just look inside of it, the copyrights and all. I really got into that. I mean, going back to the Apocrypha and just how it came to be and who came up with this idea and who came in and translated it and all of that, going back even beyond King James, and what's the difference in an international and all these versions, where they come from? Who's right? Who's wrong? Of course, I realize that it's a leap of faith, not a leap of fact, and that's fine. I have the faith. But why he chose Romans, it's very symbolic. It really is. You got to understand, the sun didn't set on the Roman Empire. And it was, in fact, the tyranny of the Romans and the wall that was set up in and around what is now the United Kingdom. I mean, this whole concept of walls is a Roman thing, bro. Not only a Romans thing, but for him to recite that, implies to me that he obviously wants to govern. The government that we currently have now are governing like the Romans. And I don't doubt he'd want to wash his hands after the crucifixion. I'm not just dealing with the scripture. I'm dealing with how it became Romans. And what the entire chapter was really all about. Just saying.
And, you know, not just the history, which is very important, but also the more recent history and those who have invoked it and cited it before. This was used by British royals to chastise rebellious American revolutionaries.
Absolutely.
This was used by slave owners.
Absolutely. Ping, ping, roll.
This was
It's your first bell.
used by Nazi Germany
Yeah. Same scripture.
and apartheid South Africa.
Same scripture. By the way, there were walls in South Africa. Entire districts were removed, ladies and gentlemen. Still walls in South Africa, by the way. And then there's Kirsten Nielsen. What is she? She the Homeland Security? What is?
Yeah, DHS director.
This is the one that the president
Secretary.
the president was cursing out at one time. He went in on her. So now she had to redeem herself by performing, like her pimp wanted her to perform.
She does well. She's good. She's good.
All right, we're going to go to the phones here, folks. I see them lining up. 2 cents, I guess you're selective outrage. All right, we'll talk about it. We'll be back.
The new 2 for $4 mix and match breakfast at Hardee's means you get 2 of our breakfast favorites for $4. Choose from the Frisco breakfast sandwich on buttery toasted sourdough or made from scratch biscuit sandwiches like the sausage and egg biscuit or the bacon, egg, and